Hey loves, welcome. This is HeatherAsh Amara to our weekly love streaming Tuesdays through the summer. So it's only a couple more weeks on HeatherAsh Amara, Warrior Goddess Women page, YouTube. Welcome everyone. So whether you're listening live or watching the recording later, so glad that you're here. Hey Valerie, welcome. So I'm back up in Taos, New Mexico. I'm up here with my friend Ginny, who was like, please come up. So, okay, darn. So I get to work up here for 3 or 4 days, which is really sweet in the coolness, because it is now super hot down in Santa Fe. So much nicer for me to be broadcasting live today and tomorrow from the coolness of Taos rather than sweating in the trailer. Hi, Diane. So happy about that, and glad to have you all up here with me in Taos, New Mexico. So today I want to share a little bit about the blog that I wrote. And we talked about this a little bit last week or the week before. Hi, Wendy. Hey, Andy. Which is this idea of letting your heart explode and instead of imploding. So you all hear me talk about this often. If you've joined me for live streams before, for different classes, you know that one of the things that I'm all about is learning how to embrace all of life, to embrace the shadow and the sunshine, the challenges and the beauty, and that all of them are ways for us to deepen ourselves, Haley, and to get more grounded, to learn how to be more resilient, how to be more present with life. And that the truth is life is really unpredictable. So, hey, Elizabeth, welcome. And in that unpredictability, we can live in fear, in closure, in trying to control everything, or we can learn to deepen our own roots, get more centered and solid in the moment, stop trying to control what's supposed to happen, but stay centered in what can I do? What is the action that I can take? Hey, Rihanna. And a lot of times what that action is, not a lot of times, sometimes what that action is stillness, to not take action, to get quiet. Hey, Jen. Hey, Zoe. Oh, beautiful. Zoe says, finally made my move. I got my new home for my son and I. Life is beautiful. Congratulations, sweetheart. So happy for you. So how do we be with the unpredictable nature of life? And the knowing that in a physical body, we're in physical bodies, and physical bodies do all sorts of things as we age or just on their own. We don't even have to be aging for our bodies to do all sorts of interesting things. And also for us to lose people and to lose different capacities of ourselves. So as many of you know, we recently lost one of our teammates and Warrior Goddesses, Heather Laura. She had a stroke last week or the week before? I don't know, time is a blur, August 5th. So I guess it was the week before. And so there's been a lot of grief in our team and a lot of tenderness in our hearts. And one of the things that I've been talking about with this idea of knowing that people do die unexpectedly. They also die kind of in unexpected ways as well. But the truth is we never know when any of us is going to go. And so to live our lives so fully engaged with the people that we love and care about, and let them know that we care about them, that we're here for them, that we're present, and that we celebrate them while they're alive, just as we celebrate them when they're gone. And it's the same with our bodies, to be able to celebrate when we have capacity to do things, and to also celebrate that we had that capacity. So, because things shift and change. And to not box ourselves into it's supposed to look like this, or I'm supposed to be able to do this, but to know also, hey, Kathy, that there's flow in life, that things are not stagnant, that there's things that shift. And that's where we get to practice being really, really flexible in our response to life. And that takes just practice. A lot of us have learned how to be rigid and how to do what I call imploding our heart, how to armor, how to push other people away, how to try and protect ourselves. And learning to live fully where we're willing to be heartbroken. We're willing to explode our hearts. We're willing for that vulnerability and that grief and that loss, and that we honor it, that we're with it in all the subtle ways that loss and grief occur in our lives. Sometimes it's big ways, somebody dying unexpectedly, and sometimes it's little ways of realizing that we don't have a capacity that we used to have, or that we're going to be shifting something in our lives. I'm going through a little mini loss right now, which is fascinating. How many of you had this experience where you get something new in your life, and the thing that it's replacing, you suddenly start missing and grieving? So I just got a new 4-wheel drive truck. So I'm trading in my blue Toyota Tundra, which is 2-wheel drive, which has served me so well for the last couple of years. And I love that truck fiercely. It's a great truck. And it can't do what I need it to do. Because since I'm spending a lot more time up on the land that I steward, I need 4-wheel drive, especially as we go into winter, as we go into the monsoons, as we go into winter. I only had to get stuck once in my blue 2-wheel drive to realize that. And the moment I got stuck, I was like, guess what, sweetie? Our relationship is done. I love you so much, and you can't go where I'm going. Anybody relate to this? Hey, Ray Shakti. So I'm in the process of selling the blue truck, and I already miss it. And I love my new truck. It's fabulous. It's going to allow me to do things that I couldn't do with the blue truck, but I still miss the blue truck. And I have a little bit of a loss around that. So maybe not everybody has this. I get really attached to physical things and people and stuff. And I always just know that about myself. I'm going to grieve. I'm going to grieve when I move. I'm going to grieve when I let go of the truck. And there's this tenderness for this thing that was so important to me and that really served a purpose. But now its purpose is done. And I get to pass it on to somebody else, which is great. So I'm finding the right person. So if anybody out there knows somebody who needs a 2016 blue, sparkly Toyota Tundra, let me know. It's for sale. Her name's Isis. Nicole just bought a truck also. Yay. Yeah. And there's this beauty too. And this is true in relationships. This is true in different things that have served us at a certain point, but don't serve us now. So even strategies that we had that were helpful to us, but aren't helpful to us anymore. Relationships that were really important to us. And we realize that we've shifted or they've shifted. Places where we have a certain identity of who we've been, and that shifts, and we're mourning the identity of who we were because we don't quite know who we are becoming. There's those in-between times. And so we always need to take time to integrate and to really slow down to do that. I was working with a friend of mine, and we were talking about this idea of worthiness and how deep her realization as she was stalking, and this is true for all of us, truly, that fundamental sense of I'm not worthy. Okay, I really believe that there's a couple of core agreements all of us have. One of them is I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, or I'm broken. So each of us have some manifestation of that core belief that we're navigating. And so we were talking about how do we get rid of those core beliefs? How do we shift them? And so this was our conversation of what do you do to shift a core belief? I'm going to talk to you about what I shared with her because I think it's really important, and it ties back to this idea that we're talking about of letting go of tangible physical things and also of changing identity. So Katie writes, hardest thing about having rheumatoid arthritis was to honor daily where my body is at. Yes. Instead of being negative about my limitations, I honor daily what I am capable of. I had to grieve the loss of my mobility. Exactly. And it's so challenging when we lose capacity of our physical body. And if we're constantly looking at where we're not, what we can't do, there's going to be a lot of suffering. Instead of what you're saying, Katie, is coming to what can I do and where is my body today? And it doesn't mean it's going to be here tomorrow. It may be a little bit better tomorrow. It may be a little bit worse tomorrow. But what I have to deal with is right now. And one thing that I'm realizing about the pandemic and just all the changes that are happening right now is my philosophy used to be, in a way, let's take it today. Like, let's get through today. And now I feel like so many of us are like, let's get through this hour. And when you're in trauma, or when you've gone through a hard change, or when we're dealing with something like rheumatoid arthritis, where there's a physical pain limitation, it's about getting through the next hour or the next 10 minutes. And so that keeps us more and more present of, let me just bring myself present to what do I need to do to nurture myself, to show up for myself, to support myself, to honor where I'm at for the next 10 minutes, for the next hour, for the next day. Valerie had the same loss when I gave up our 2006 Honda Odyssey van for a Subaru Outback. Yes. When your kids moved out, right? Did a ceremony before letting it go. Had so many good times with my girls and trips in the van. I cried. Yeah. And it's the memory. It's the gratitude for all that you got to experience. And the experiences don't go away. But that physical, tangible, the experiences happened here in this vehicle. That's what we're letting go of. Christine, boy, can I relate. Katie, tapping helps me in questioning my beliefs and writing them down. Yeah, super helpful. So any type of physical moving, tapping is helpful. Getting the body moving in any way can be super helpful to get out of stuck patterns. And also stalking and questioning your beliefs and writing them down. So powerful. Leah, love this truck too. Memories arise. Blue truck supporting my first time driving a truck. That's right. Onto the Warrior Heart Ranch reminded me I'm capable of more than I know. Yeah, that truck has served many people well. I love that. Much love. So we let go. Yeah, we let go. And we honor the letting go. And we know that we're making space for something new to come in. So, I've been recapping, like really looking at, where was I when I bought that blue truck, for example? Because in our lives there are these markers, and the markers don't have to be big traumatic events necessarily. They may just be a time that, like for me, when I bought that particular truck and where I was moving, like what was shifting in my life and why I bought a huge truck. Okay, it's because I bought an Airstream trailer, so I needed a truck to pull it. And that was a shift in my life. I left New York, living in New York City, and started living on the road. Big shift in my life. And now I'm doing something different, which is I'm buying a truck so that I can be on the land that I'm stewarding, so that I can spend more time there, so I can help to craft it and create it. And it's so interesting. I got a message in January. So I did a workshop in January before everything closed down, and I was in Los Angeles, and I was doing a workshop with on tensegrity, which is a movement practice, and they had us ask a question and then do these particular movement sequences. And my question was around what's next. And the answer I got very, very clearly was not what I was expecting, because I had been living on the road and doing a lot of workshops. And the message I got was, you need to put your energy into the land outside of Santa Fe. You need to put the next 2 years focusing on that land to get it ready. And that was the message. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen because I live on the road. And then guess what happened? Pandemic. And I, like most of us, got grounded. Like Mama was like, okay, you're here now. So that message continues to be consistent of spend time nurturing and getting to know and supporting this land, because it's going to be a place where many people can come for healing. It's very pristine land. It's very sacred land. And to steward it, to really listen to what does it need? How can I care for it? I'm like really huge learning curve right now because I'm learning how to take care of a forest in a good way, and how to build a house. Big learning curve. But it's beautiful, and it's changing how I relate to myself and how I will relate to you all eventually. And so these moments of transition are so important to mark and to integrate. Okay, the moment of somebody dying, the moment of letting go of a vehicle, which seems minor, but you think about how much time we spend in vehicles, children moving out, separation or divorce, places where we realize there's something that we need to let go that we've identified with that doesn't serve us any longer. So there's all sorts of places that we can transition from. Rihanna, I threw myself on top of the hood of my Isuzu impulse car before I bought it. Had no idea till then how attached I was to it. Years ago was my first brand new car. Yeah. Cars become part of our identity. Thank you, Jackie. I'm so glad you love the heart grounding meditation. So glad you enjoyed it. Beautiful. Melissa, absolutely true. This is a time of transition. It is. And in times of transition, we need integration time. We need stillness. So going back to talking with my friend about this idea of worthiness, of like what's the simple answer? How do I feel worthy all the time? There isn't a simple answer. There is setting the stage, things that you can do so that you can have that deep body knowing drop in of your worthiness. But it's not something you can like fill out the form or do the thing necessarily. Sometimes something will happen and it'll just drop in. But what I've seen a lot of times is it's a journey of us letting go, clearing out the old beliefs that we have, and giving ourselves the space to go towards stillness, to learn how to be quiet, and to just be with ourselves without all the doing. The doing is fabulous. I am a big doer. I love taking action and strategizing and playing and bringing groups together. I love it. And if I don't balance that with doing nothing, stillness, integrating, I start getting edgy and frayed and frazzled. And I'm less effective. Whenever we're in a time of transition, our own wobble shows up. Our own worries, our self-doubt, our confusion. Transitions bring all that stuff up. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. If we just go, all right, hi, here's the content. How do I clear it? What do I need to do to help myself get more solid, resilient? And one of the best ways is to get still, is to cultivate your relationship with inner stillness, to just learn how to be, which sounds like such an easy thing to do, right? How hard can this be? And it's so not easy. Well, that's not true. It's super easy. just takes practice. We often have practice doing the opposite, saying really busy. Katie, this is so helpful. Thank you. I'm in a transition in my career and I've been nervous to make changes that I know will make me happy. Yay! So be nervous. That's okay. And keep taking action steps towards that transition. Deirdre, there is an ebb and flow. Yes, so true. Absolute ebb and flow. Tamatha, transition seems to be my theme right now. Thank you for the reminder that I need to be still and take it all in. It has become overwhelming. Yeah. Yeah, especially the places that we feel overwhelmed. That's a signal that you need to slow down in any way that you can. Okay? And I don't mean I get to stop everything and take a week off, because few of us have that luxury of being able to do that, or that privilege, or that space in our lives. But what you do have space is getting up a little bit earlier so that you can be still. Taking more time in the evenings, looking at what are the things that I'm filling my time with that are not actually serving me or nourishing me, and how do I bring in more settled stillness? I know for me, knitting is so helpful. So it gives me my hands something to do, but it allows me, becomes a prayer. Knitting for me is prayer and rest and integration. So that's, when I say sitting, I don't necessarily mean sitting in one place, but that may be a way that you rejuvenate, for sure, is just being quiet and being still. And I'm noticing myself doing that a lot more up on the land, especially. But it may be walking. It may be having a deep conversation with a friend. It may be journaling. It may be doing art. It may be doing something like knitting or gardening, where you allow the mind to get quiet and empty out. And that emptiness, that emptying out, allows then the new insights and integration and next steps to come in that are outside of the familiar. Okay, when we don't empty, we're just going to do the same thing that we've always done. Hey, Astrid, welcome. Ray, I'm laying in my hammock stillness in the backyard, and half a dozen large dragonflies are chasing each other all around me. Amazing, beautiful. I love that. Yeah, Deborah, super easy, yes, but sometimes hard to remember. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chrissy, having trouble with my ego wanting to control everything. Most of us do, especially when we feel scared. Especially when we feel out of control, then that part of us can come up and go, okay, what can I control? Let me control it here. And we can get better at looking at what can we control that's nourishing versus that's making us more frantic. Okay? What calms you down versus making you more frantic? And it's about the energy you're putting into the thing rather than the thing itself. So, for example, it's super calming for me to clean. And I know that, like, do dishes. And anybody that knows me well, if I'm at their house and I'm doing dishes, they don't say, oh, honey, don't do dishes. They're like, how you feeling? Because they know I'm using it as a way to ground. Okay? Especially when I lived on the road, because I didn't have a normal structure. And so something like washing the dishes for me was very stabilizing, because it was a normal, present, in the moment activity. And so crocheting, I love that. Ray Shakti, I crochet almost every evening before bed. Nice. Yeah, it's the simple things that can be so profound. Deborah, yes, cross stitch for me is meditative, nurturing, and where insights often come in. Yeah. Albert Einstein, where did he get most of his insights? Was out hiking or being around a campfire. That was where the insights dropped in. And I know for me, so often, long drives, long exertive hikes, a lot drops in. Just hanging out. Last week, or I guess it was the week before, that I was super engaged in being on the land, building adobes, directing people of what to do, cutting brush, learning how to cut trees down, like all sorts of things were going on. And I did no writing, like nothing. I had no comment around, no thoughts around writing anything. And I actually skipped last week's blog or newsletter because I was blank. There was nothing. And I just let it be. I was like, all right, I can try and force this, or I can just be blank. I was blank for pretty much a week. And it was part of integrating Heather's death, integrating all that's happening with the land, just a lot of things going on with the business and the community. And so I just let myself be blank for a week. And what happened, because I just gave myself permission, is then when I went up to the land and I was by myself for the first time in a while, I woke up the next morning and the article just plopped out. And I love when I remember that flow of taking the time to integrate, to slow down, to tap into stillness, to make the space for what's next to drop through, whether that's a decision that needs to be made or something that I'm crafting or creating. So important. Yeah, Katie, driving is so relaxing for me. I've been on the road for 5 hours today. Yay. And it was good. It was helpful. Ray Shakti, I'm making a blanket for our granddaughter and infusing with love in every stitch. That is the best. I love that. Yay. Yeah, lots to process and integrate it. Yeah. I love it when you set an example for what you teach us. Yay. Good. I'm glad. So how are you all doing? How are you doing? What's going on with you? Any questions that you have? I'd love to hear from you. And this is so funny. The place that we're staying, everything is bear motif. Yeah, let me share with you the bear motif. Skiing bears. Bears by the fire. The entire place is bears. It's great. And, oh, Christy, I'm sorry that you're really struggling. What are you struggling with, hun? Feel free to share if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to share a little bit about what you're struggling with, and we can send you love and blessings. Everyone around me seems so crazy. Yeah. A lot of people around you are crazy right now. Doesn't mean you have to be crazy too. So if you find that you're being impacted by other people's mental noise, drama, you don't have to manage everyone's feelings. Okay, so this is good. Let's go in. It's only going to get more chaotic, sweethearts. It's only going to get more chaotic in the next 4 or 5 months. If you live in the United States, okay, if you don't live in the United States, yay, good for you. Okay, so what does it mean when we say it's going to get more chaotic? Is that in the United States, we're going into election that always stirs everybody's stuff up. We're in a pandemic, which is super uncertain. People are being financially hit, and there's a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen. Where are we going to come out? Am I going to be okay? Okay. You cannot manage anybody else's feelings but your own. I promise you. You can try, but it's going to make you exhausted and frustrated. Everybody gets to have their own emotional content. So if you give everyone permission to do whatever they're doing, and then you come back to, how do I want to bring my attention here? How do I nourish myself? And here's a visual I want to give you all, is imagine that you can, and this is a good thing to do physically, is like really bring all of your energy close to your body. So imagine that you're tucking everything in and you're right here. And you can even touch your body like, okay, right here, present, right here. I'm okay, right here. So you're pulling everything into this moment. Hello. And then imagine a sun inside of you, this beautiful sun inside of you, and that you're going to shine that sun out to the edges of your body. Shine. And the intent is you're not going to take on anybody else's insanity or drama or belief that you have to fix them. So Christy, people count on me to be their cheerleader. That's nice. You're fired. I say that with all my love. Please be your own cheerleader. If cheerleading happens then naturally from you cheerleading yourself, awesome. But you feeling like your role is I have to cheerlead people and people have put you into that role, fire yourself, sweetheart, because it's exhausting. Let people be where they're at. Practice, sun, maintaining your state. How do you maintain your state of being? Beloveds, this is so important. Because as humans that are ungrounded and that are connected to the dream and all the drama that's happening and the fear, as they get more and more ungrounded, we that have some consciousness need to get more and more grounded and present and solid and do whatever we need to do to make that happen. Which doesn't mean I can't be of service to you all if I'm running around trying to put out every single fire that ever happens around me and trying to fix everybody else's life. I won't be available for you. That's why I'm going out to the land right now, because I am able to remove myself so I can get clear about what's actually true for me. Where is my center, to get rooted, to talk to the trees, to help me remember. And then when I come back out, I can be of support because I'm solid, because I'm centered. And yeah, I get wobbly too, and that's fine. So I'm not saying you're going to be super centered all the time or else you're completely ineffective. That's not true either. But we need to deepen our roots and then be that tree, be that solid. That doesn't mean, trees don't unroot themselves and then try to fix other people. They stay rooted. And then the people around you that are willing to shift will go, oh, that's what rooted looks like. Thank you. I'd forgotten. Oh, that's what stillness feels like. Oh, that's what calm is like when I'm responding to an emergent. Got it. Thank you. But we have to become it rather than thinking about it. And part of the becoming it is making boundaries. Energetic, physical, emotional, mental, boundaries with your disaster mind, boundaries so you're not giving your energy away all the time, boundaries so that you're not taking on other people's emotional content, boundaries so that you're not exhausting your physical body. And guess who gets to make those boundaries and decide what those boundaries are? You do. If you imagine yourself as a sovereign state, a sovereign woman, I love that word. It's my new favorite word for a moment, that you get to decide. Miguel talks about this. You are a country. You get to decide what the boundaries of your country are. You get to decide how you run your country. Yeah, isn't that a great metaphor? Yeah. And I always loved this. I used to have such a hard time making boundaries. I still struggle with it sometimes. I'm getting so much better. Menopause, people. If you haven't been through menopause, it's awesome. But what I learned about making boundaries, one of the things that really helped me was I'm not just saying no to other people, I'm saying yes to myself. Making a boundary is saying yes to myself. And that one of the biggest boundaries I believe we need to make right now is not feeding into the drama. Okay, so for any of you that are going down rabbit holes of conspiracy theory, or have friends that are going down rabbit holes of conspiracy theory, or that are worried, or that are in big drama about what's going to happen, I'm not saying upset isn't, what's the right word? Concern and upset is not, I think we got some things to be concerned and upset about, honestly. But going into drama around that is just going to waste your energy. And so you get to look at how do you minimize your own internal drama. Okay, other people can be in drama. How do you minimize? And it's so easy when someone's in drama for us to go into drama too. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Rihanna. And having boundaries doesn't mean you don't have compassion, empathy. They can coexist. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Jerome, how do you stay motivated when you are doing something you don't want to do? I'm studying and I get easily distracted. Any advice? Yeah. So why are you studying? Look at the bigger picture of why you're studying. So in the moment, studying might be difficult, annoying, hard to focus. But if you come back to, I'm studying because I want to learn this particular skill so that I can get a job that really nourishes and feeds me. What's the larger reason? That's what you want to then use of like, I'm willing to do this right now because I know where I'm going. Does that help? Yeah, exactly. It's not against you. It's for me. Zoe, I can't give myself away like that. So I had someone say to me today, I get my energy through you. I said, no wonder I've been so tired. Got to be more careful. Yeah, you can inspire people with your energy, but that's different from you giving your energy to other people without realizing it. And beloveds, like, it is rare that someone can just randomly suck your energy. Like, we're like, oh, there's, sometimes we're like, well, it's just an energy vampire and it's not my fault and it's so difficult. And I'm like, no, girlfriend, you are giving your energy away on a platter. Stop it. So often we have agreements of I just have to give and give and give until I'm exhausted. And then maybe I'll be a good human or good woman. Yeah. So no, make boundaries. Yeah. And when you're grounded, again, we go back to the tree, when you're super grounded and present and in your center, other people are going to be energized being around you because you're passionate, because you're excited, and it's infectious. That catches in a good way, but so does the fear and the drama. And that's what we're seeing. If all of us can just stay of like, whoa, look what the humans are doing now. That's what I do all the time. Look at what the humans are doing now. What are we up to? And I'm not like, I'm separate from this. I'm just like, what are we doing now? Wow. Yeah, Jerome, are you saying, think of my intent when I get off track? Yeah. So you're taking that action for a larger purpose. And when you get drilled down into, I don't like this action, it's going to be exhausting. But when you're like, this action is leading me to this thing, that becomes more motivating. Yeah. Teresa, how can the Warrior Heart practice help us with transitions? I'm struggling with bringing my intent of transformation back into the story chamber. All right. So if you're struggling with bringing, so the word transformation, what I would do, sweetheart, let me feel into what came up for me immediately. So just check out and see if this is true, is that you're in transition. What's your intent of how you want to go through the transition? Okay, so you're in transition. That's part of your story right now. So pick an intent. That's your intent of how you want to go through the transition, what quality you want to take through the story and through the transition. Does that help? more. I've been getting better at boundaries, but feeling lonely as this big shift for me. It's in a time of social isolation. It's difficult to find healthy connectedness. It is, sweetheart. I really agree. It can be really challenging. And to know this isn't going to last forever. And something to remind ourselves is we're not, eventually things will shift, and it may be a while, but things will shift. So remember that. And then, there's different ways of creating connectedness. So a couple of ideas is to watch videos or shows that bring that sense of connectedness to you, where you feel connected by watching that thing, and to be really, really careful not to fill yourself up with things that cause you to feel more detached or disconnected. Okay, and only you can call what that is. And then also to find online groups that are consciously creating community, because it can be really isolating if you're just taking a class on your own. But if you're part of a group that's doing something together, there's the connection. And then you start to get to know people in the community. We have this happen all the time in the Warrior Goddess events. So on the Warrior Goddess Women Facebook group, or in other online events. Obviously we'd rather be in person. Not all of us. Some of the isolators are like, this is the best. Some of the introverts. But because we can't be in person in the same way right now, you want to find groups that build community and that help you connect with other women. And in the Warrior Goddess community, there are women that didn't know each other. Even at the beginning of the pandemic, when I started doing Facebook Lives, a lot of you that are here, I recognize you. Hi, Leslie. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, Ray. Because you've been showing up and you're starting to get to know each other and recognize each other. And it's that way that we're going to build community and a sense of connectedness, is by putting yourself in places where there's a community consciously being built, and then taking the risk to start getting to know people and finding out who do I like, who have I drawn to. I've made some amazing friends and connections that I don't know if I ever would have made without taking some risk to reach out to women that I might not have reached out to before. And we have we've followed each other. We've talked maybe a half hour via Zoom or connected via email. And we're both, I can just see there's many women that this has happened to me. Then we're like, all right, we're going to do stuff together on the other side of the pandemic, or we're going to do stuff to do now. So yeah, you never know. Rihanna, I feel more connected watching doggy fostering videos. Perfect. More of that. Yeah, more of that. Yeah, what are the humans doing now? That's the best question you can ask. And that we respect each other. So my neighbor up on the land, we hadn't really hung out. We hadn't spent time together. And a couple days ago, I brought over a case of beer because I didn't bring over kombucha because I want to bring over what they want, not what I think they should want. Okay. In my world, it would be like, here's a kombucha. This is the best ever. But what I did is I scoped out what kind of beer do they drink, and I brought him a case. And we sat down on their front porch and we started talking. And it was a great conversation. There's a big heart connection. This guy is wonderful. I'm so grateful to have this person as a neighbor. So, so, so grateful. And politics came up, not on my side, on their side, on he and his wife's side. And I got really quickly, I'm like, okay, we have very different views. And I just made a note of it and didn't go down the road. He gets to believe what he believes, and he believes it as passionately as I believe what I believe. And there may be someday that we have a conversation about it, but I'm very aware what I'm building is a neighbor relationship with this human, which is really different than a community relationship in terms of the teachings. Okay. So this is where we get to really hold our energy, really, really hold our energy and look at where do we engage and where do we not engage. Important. Yeah. Hey, Jazz. So glad you're here. Yes, take the risk. Going out on a limb is where the fruit is. So true. So everybody, meet Jazz Jones. I'm so glad that you came on live. So on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, Jazz is coming on live with me. Well, I'm going to introduce her and then she's going to go. And I'm really excited for her to share tomorrow. I'm wondering what time it is. 5 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock. So 3 o'clock. Is that correct? Do I have it right? I have so many heads. Let me go look. Numbers in my head. Let me make sure I get the number right. Yes. Okay, 2 p.m. So tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Please join Love Streaming Spotlight on Black and Brown Voices for Healing with Jazz Jones. It's going to be so good. And Jazz has just finished writing a book in her mother's voice and in my mother's voice. And it's really, really beautiful. So join. Earlier in the day, I am going to be doing, tomorrow's a big day. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 events that I'm teaching tomorrow. Yay! So full on HeatherAsh Day. So tomorrow you can also join me at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be doing a webinar on embracing uncertainty with Michael Stone. So again, to review tomorrow, there's 2 public things. Please join. 1, Embracing Uncertainty with Michael Stone. That's at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'll put the link in. And for the Spotlight with Jazz Jones, yay! That one is at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, right here. So wherever you're tuning in now, whether that's YouTube, whether that is the Warrior Goddess Women group, whether that's my HeatherAsh Amara page, tomorrow, Jazz Jones right here. And yes, it will also be recorded. If you can join us live, please do. On at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Central. Let me make sure. Six p.m. Central. Okay. Which would be 4 p.m. Pacific. So that is the correct time. Tune in here. It's going to be amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Leslie, Warrior Goddess Group and Zoom has been such a saving grace for me during this pandemic. Such wonderful connections. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad, Leslie. Hi, Diana. Yeah, open for all. Jazz. So just to verify, we have 6 p.m. Central. Andy, can you explain again what you mean by this being the second to last live stream? Yes, I made the commitment to do live streaming on Tuesdays through the summer, which to me is the end of August. So I may do one more in September, but start closing this loop and putting my focus elsewhere, writing books and creating a new program. So join me next week. Let me look at the date, the calendar. Next week's the 25th. I'll probably I may do something the 1st as well. Okay, but coming to a close. It doesn't mean I will never do Facebook Lives, but I'm not going to be doing them consistently. Yeah. Awesome. All right, loves. I will be sharing both of the events that are coming up tomorrow. I'll be putting memes up about them so you have the correct time and how to connect. And I really look forward to you all joining. Yeah. Tomorrow. And next week. Okay, so again, 2 live events happening tomorrow. I will post both of them on all the groups so that you have the information. And also next week, Tuesday, same thing. This time, put Mountain Standard Time for both. Yes. So Wendy, So Wendy, that's 1 p.m. Yeah, 1 p.m. for the Embracing Uncertainty with Michael, and 5 p.m. with Jazz. That's Mountain Time. All right, loves. Okay, I'm going to take you. Come with me. We're going on a journey. I'm going to take you just to say hi to the creek before we close. So for those of you that were part of the love streaming from San Antonio, I would spend hours down at the creek live streaming the creek. And we have got a creek here, so I'm going to share it with you. Can you see it? So a little creek love for a moment. Yay. All right. Tune in live tomorrow, beloveds. We'll see you then. I'm up in Taos, Leslie, at the Ski Valley. Bye, everybody.